new idea by the Veterans Charity to light up these wonderful landmarks and honour those who have fallen. You can see St Michael's Mount is looking rather striking in the night sky, and there are other landmarks that have also been lit up, like over at RAF St Morgan and a base over at Caldroys. And we're going to hear quite a bit more of that in a second. But first, I spent the morning at a school just outside of Newquay where a remembrance service took place and a very special centenary woodland was planted. A moment to remember the servicemen and women who died fighting for our freedom. For more than 100 years, remembrance has been part of the fabric of society, and this year marks a special milestone for the Royal British Legion.
It's our centenary year, and for the centenary we look back, but then we also look forward. And for us to be here at Nansledan today, where we have young children, the future of the Royal British Legion, they're also the custodians of remembrance. I can't think of a better place.
A new centenary woodland has been planted here at Nansledan School, a joint venture by the Legion and the Duchy. The opening coincides with COP26, and the new space is already proving to be a success with these three.
Good, it has a really soft texture. Once its pine tree is fully grown, they smell really nice. It's really nice because if you need space, you can just come out here and have and reflect on what's happened. It's really great for the environment, because the more trees you have, the more oxygen you would have for the animals and you. It's a good place to go when you're remembering someone that's died in the war.
The Lord Lieutenant of Cornwall was moved by the children's enthusiasm and the familiarity that the service brings each year.
The last post and the Reveille are always chilling, and for someone who's been in the army for a long time, it makes you think of what you've done in the past and of comrades you've lost and friends you've lost, and on how well the armed forces do to help our country.
The Legion hopes this woodland will unite people from across all communities and generations, and give new acts of remembrance space to grow. You heard from the children there how important it is to have that space to reflect, and I'm pleased to say I'm joined by Ian Henderson, who's a trustee of the Veterans Charity. Hi. Ian, these lights are doing something similar for the community, aren't they?
They certainly are, yes. It's a sort of a reflective way to look at remembrance, sort of a bit more 24/7. Obviously at this time of the year it gets very dark early, but it's still a very poignant way to remember.
This is the first time these have happened. Where did the idea come from?
Well, it was sort of from last year's Poppies to Paddington event, really. It was something we sort of did, sort of lit up Land's End signpost and a few other sort of military vehicles. And we thought, yeah, we could grow this. And obviously St Michael's Mount is such an icon. It was a key thing to light up, really.
And why is it important for charities like yours to think of new ways to remember year on year?
Well, obviously with COVID last year, the whole thing with Poppies to Paddington was, it was a new way of doing things, it was safely done, but at the same time we encouraged people to remember from home. So it was things like this where you could light up, you know, your neighbourhood or whatever, and it was all safe to do. So we may have to keep doing this sort of thing in the future, really.
Right, well, thank you very much, Ian. Armistice Day is a sombre day, but with new creations like these lights and the woodlands down in Newquay, the way that we remember is going to reinvent itself this year and for many, many more years to come.
Marina Jenkins, thank you. Next this evening, South Western Ambulance Service says the pressure on its crews in Cornwall has become intolerable.
The Trust has revealed that in total its ambulance teams are losing 750 hours a day of work due to delays in handing patients over at hospitals. Well, Sam Blackledge is live outside the Ambulance Services headquarters in Exeter for us this evening. Sam, the pressure continues to mount on our emergency services.
Yes, Ellie, and it's a sadly familiar story, isn't it? The health service under pressure right across the region and struggling to cope. Today's report tells us that ambulance